Wanted to go over a few housekeeping notes. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off or put in vibrate mode. And we will have some speaker evaluation forms. We don't have them right now, but we will at the end of the day. So if you could fill that out, we appreciate it. We also hope that you would be able to join us tonight for a reception in the ballroom. Tonight, there's going to be dinner, drinks, and gives you a good chance to network with some of your colleagues. This session is presented by Christian Heinrich, and he's going to be talking about a Google hacking project. One of the interesting projects that OWASP is involved with, and definitely should be very informative. Let me give you a quick bio of Christian. Christian has over 12 years of professional experience and formal training in diverse disciplines of security, ranging from locksmith, shot firer, bodyguard, IT engineer, and chief security officer. He has been promoted several times within the Australian government based on his performance within projects for the defense and intelligence services. By reputation, this led to several more projects within 4 major banks of Australia and other, I guess, New South Wales, and NSW, New South Wales government critical infrastructure, and is regarded as a thought leader for the security within the media and telecommunications industry. He has contributed to numerous security articles in the Australian newspaper and online to ZD Australia and Computer World. Please join me in welcoming Christian.
Thanks, everyone, and good morning. Okay, just a couple of notes. I will actually be publishing this presentation later on SlideShare. I suspect after October the 20th, which is actually when I return to Australia. If you do download it, there is content within the notes section, so supplementary in terms of references and that kind of thing. And it's licensed as a dual license, so it's licensed under whatever license OWASP consider, as well as an Australian Creative Commons 2.5 license for attribution non-commercial and no derivative works. As stated before, I have 12 years of purely end-user experience. I actually started my career within the Australian federal government, doing work for the intelligence services, as well as running a DSD certified gateway. And I also managed the security of a federal government endorsed business. And then more recently, I started working for the New South Wales state government within critical infrastructure, specifically the electricity industry. And I also presented at the New South Wales Government State Security Management Forum on PCI DSS, and essentially contributed to a large piece of advice which resulted in the New South Wales Government rejecting it. And finally, I've presented at a number of security conferences. The most prominent one I'm known for is RuxCon, which is the Security Community Conference in Australia. So I presented there in 2005 and 2006 on defeating intrusion detection, and my second presentation was on the Common Vulnerability Scoring System. In relation to my OWASP work, I recently, which were in version 2, spidering and Googling. I'm today going to be talking about one of these proof of concepts, which is the download index cache program. There's another one called TCP input text, which is specifically related to mining TCP ports from Google search results. And there's also, I'll be releasing at other conferences, which I'll cover later on, a workaround in relation to the Google Translate function. And I presented at the recent OWASP Australian conference. I also have a profile on LinkedIn if you want to look me up and see who I know and all that kind of thing. Okay, so for the September 2008 update, what I'll cover in detail is the updates to the testing guide version 3, the download index cache proof of concept, and I'll finally do some project management in terms of I need reviewers for this project, so I'll cover the requirements for that later on, as well as presenting the project roadmap. This project itself was accepted by OWASP in June of this year, so we're kind of, I guess, using this forum to sort of update some of the project management aspects of it. Any questions so far, or? Yep. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so I'll just cover the spiders, robots, crawlers section. So essentially what they are, basically they just automatically traverse hyperlinks of a web page, and then they recursively retrieve content which is referenced by that within that web page. So essentially it's not recursion as it is sort of algorithmically, it's basically it just follows hyperlinks and then just downloads the content. There are a couple of differentiators within them. Some of them are able to apply heuristics, so they can, for instance, not download MP3 files or JPEGs or that kind of thing. And the other thing is that some of them will give you the ability to submit HTTP requests at random intervals. So essentially that means we don't overload the web server by banking it up with a number of requests. Okay, so their behaviour is actually governed by what's known as the robots exclusion protocol. Now there's two forms of this. This is the more newer form, which is the HTML meta tags. And essentially what we do is we embed tags within our HTML code. The example I've used here is the one for Googlebot, which I'll pretty much be covering in this presentation, which is the crawler of Google. And essentially what we can specify within the web page is for it to not follow any further hyperlinks on this page or to not cache the content, that kind of thing. Now, it's not universally supported by all robots that have been created, so it's not really recommended as a primary control. You would probably want to look at it as, I guess, specifying for your web developers to embed it within their content as not required, but it's fairly hard to manage and I guess maintain from there. So the more traditional one that we have is the robots exclusion protocol, is the robots.txt file, and it's located in the web root directory of our web server. In this case I've used the URL for Google because OWASP doesn't have one. It does support regular expressions, but again, they're only supported by a minor number of spiders, robots, and crawlers. So again, using regular expressions isn't actually recommended, but some, such as Googlebot, do actually support it. But the support of that too isn't as expressive as what you can get in sort of Perl or the regex library. Okay, so to essentially, the first phase of the OWASP testing guide version 3 is to basically retrieve the robots.txt file. Now here what we've used is just wget to pull the file down. It's fairly simple. I have a video of this, but I won't display it because it's pretty much that output. And all it essentially does is we just pull it down as the text file as it is. We can also pull it through with a web browser by going straight to the URL. From there, as I specified before. But there's a lot of ways of doing it. So essentially what it looks like when we pull it down is like this. Now this is the actual one from Google. I've put ellipses down the bottom there because it does go for a number of pages, but I'm just going to use this one as the example of inspecting a robots.txt file.